On behalf of the Socialist Equality Party in Australia, I want to join my comrades in the US SEP and the International Committee of the Fourth International in conveying my deepest condolences on the sudden death of Comrade Helen Halyard. The ageing process is, unfortunately, accompanied by the more frequent attendances at funerals. And I have remarked more than once that one often learns more about a person at their funeral than was known before it, which of course is a great pity. And while there will be undoubtedly elements of Helen's life that was not known to many of us, the essentials are known. The essence of Helen Halyard is she was party, she was cadre. When she made the decision to join the Young Socialists in 1971, then the Workers' League, it was a decision for life. She devoted her entire adult life to the building of the Revolutionary Party and the political education and training of the workers and youth who joined to ensure the socialist perspective was possible. When discussing the life of Comrade Tom Heenahan, another cadre of the Workers' League, following his assassination in 1977, Michael Bander, then General Secretary of the Workers' Revolutionary Party in Britain, described cadre as, quote, "Revolutionaries are not born. They are forged. They are trained out of the experiences of this movement, out of the intervention of its leadership, out of the whole struggle of past generations," end quote. Comrade Helen is a shining example of that forging and training. In fact, I actually met Helen in Britain at the WRP College of Marxist Education in Parwich in, I am sure, 1980. Some years before the 85-86 split with the WRP. It was my first international school, and as it was to become a regular feature at the introductory meeting, the comrades in attendance, who were from all the different sections, including the British, were warned by the WRP leaders in charge that it was impermissible to discuss any aspect of the experiences of our sections with each other. This was, we were told, purportedly for the reasons of security, but in fact had far more to do with the nationalist perspective and orientation and the divisions, therefore, which that national perspective were being imposed onto the sections of the International Committee. It was an excruciatingly difficult instruction to abide by. And when Helen and I found ourselves in our dormitories, our discussions would invariably turn to the interventions, problems, and experiences of the party. After all, that was our life. In the event our paths crossed at subsequent schools, our discussions would continue. Her advice was immensely appreciated, and I found our discussions of imperishable assistance. It took the defeat of national opportunism of the WRP by the internationalists of the ICFI, led in particular by the Workers' League, to transform the relationship between the sections of the IC to one which is now a truly internationalist organisation with a level of collaboration that is unprecedented in the socialist movement. This has certainly been enabled by the leaps of technology, but most importantly, by the re-establishment of the basic tenet of the Trotskyist movement, that it is internationalist in program and organisation. That transformation was expressed very markedly by Comrade Helen. In 1988, when Ed Wynne and Barry Porster stood as the presidential and vice presidential candidates for the Workers' League, it was a truly international campaign, which was launched by the American section in which numbers of comrades from the International Committee, including from Australia, participated. Comrades remarked that Comrade Helen's engagement, interest, advice and collaboration were a highlight of the campaign. Her explanation of the history of the American working class, its struggles, its problems, has been commented on by more than one comrade who participated in that campaign. In 1992, when Helen, as the Workers' League presidential candidate, travelled to Australia in what was the last leg of a month-long international tour that encompassed Britain, Germany and Sri Lanka, it was a further expression of the close integration and collaboration of the International Committee. The comrades in the US had asserted correctly that every person on earth should have a vote in the American elections, as everybody is impacted by the outcome of the election results of US imperialism, as was, of course, the American working class. In addition to the thousands of workers and youth she met and spoke to in those countries, Helen met hundreds of postal workers, rail workers, metal workers, teachers, students, and youth in Australia. She spoke to packed public meetings in Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane. She also ensured and found the time in what was a very packed agenda to speak to comrades in the party. She was interested in the cadre, who she and we understand are the pledges for the future. Helen's tour took place in the aftermath of the dissolution of the Soviet Union in December 1991, which had been greeted by hails of triumphalism from bourgeois spokesmen and academics as the end of history, the end of socialism, and the triumph of capitalism. The International Committee counterposed such hollow and hopeful prognoses with that of Marxism. In fact, as we outlined, it expressed the bankruptcy of not just Stalinism, but all national-based political programs, organisations and economies. The end of the Soviet Union at the hands of the venal Stalinist bureaucracy was the confirmation of Leon Trotsky's warning that unless the working class removed the bureaucratic excrescence through a political revolution, it would inevitably lead to the overturning of the gains of the 1917 October Revolution. The deepening of capitalism was evident, as Comrade Helen's tour highlighted. That situation was so sharply expressed by the 1991 Gulf War against Iraq by US imperialism, which was to become one of unending military conflicts as US imperialism sought to resolve its crisis through the sword. As Helen explained in one of the meetings that she addressed, and I'll quote, "The imperialist war in Iraq marked a new period of barbarism against the masses worldwide. The attitude of the US ruling class to the masses and youth in Iraq is no different to their attitude to the working class and young people in the United States. Thousands of young people in the US are given the choice to either remain permanently unemployed, secure some job in a fast food restaurant, or join the military to be used as cannon fodder for a tiny handful of billionaires. The solution for the working class," she insisted, referencing the uprisings against the police murder of Rodney King in LA, "is not just spontaneous rebellion, but a political struggle against the capitalist state as a whole. And that is what our election campaign is seeking to initiate and build up," end quote. That analysis stands. The crisis of capitalism has deepened, and the wars are becoming more frequent and terrible, as demonstrated in the genocide taking place in Gaza by the Israeli government, supported by every single imperialist government on earth. The world and its multi-million masses are seeing in real time through social media the real face of capitalism. There is not one rule for the Palestinians and another for the Australian, American, or European working class. The perspective to which Helen Halyard committed her entire adult life, the fight to build the International Committee of the Fourth International, the World Party of Socialist Revolution, for the overthrow of a despised and bankrupt capitalist system, and for the establishment of a socialist society, is the example and lead to which millions of workers and youth will turn in the next period. It is the Helen Halyards of the world that they will hold aloft. Thank you very much, comrades.